What's up guys, it's your boy Wolf back with another 7 Deadly Sins video. Now today we have got a lot of things to look at. Obviously the 1.2 live stream happened earlier today. I kind of missed it. I haven't uploaded anything over the past couple of days because I've been traveling. You'll notice from probably just from the size of the screen as well, you can see I'm on a wide monitor. I've actually moved now, had to get a new PC and everything and set up, which is why there hasn't been any uploads, but we are back. And we are just in time because obviously the 1.2 update live stream happened today. We got our sneak peek at Escanor. We got some gameplay footage. We got a bunch of information about him as a character, his kit, as well as a bunch of other content coming to the game soon. So let's dive straight into that. Before we get started, I want to say thank you guys for all the support you guys show me on my content. We're still growing the channel. We're still working hard to get to that 1K subs. So drop a like on the video and subscribe, and that would be a massive help to me. But without further ado, let's get into it. So as you can see, we've taken a bunch of screenshots from the video. We're just going to kind of go through some of these and look at the information and talk about what is coming in the game. So obviously we saw the new hero pickup, Dawn of the Glorious Sun, SSR Escanor, and as we knew, it's Fire Axe, Holy Greatsword, and Sword and Shield. But the interesting thing here is that the Sword and Shield is actually a support spec, which I did not expect. And if you watch my other video about Escanor, I kind of said that it was very unlikely that he'd be a tank or a support because I just couldn't imagine them making Escanor play a supportive role. But lo and behold, they've done it. He's got 2 DPS specs and 1 support spec, which is very interesting. Let's go straight into what his specs do. Obviously, this is the Fire Axe spec, which is the one that most people are probably going to play. You've got his passive Sunspot Explosion, grant Sunspot to the hero for a set duration when attacking, while Flare or Fading Sun is not active, and basically increases fire damage and max HP. At max stacks, you remove Sunspot, grant Flare, which heals you when you get it, as well as increasing your fire damage and max HP by a ton, and decreasing your damage taken, so it makes you really tanky. And then when Flare is removed, it grants Fading Sun, which decreases your max HP. So it's kind of trying to simulate the whole concept of what we know of Escanor with his Sunshine in the game, which is basically as the day progresses, he gets stronger, he gets tankier, he gets bigger, his fire damage increases up to High Noon, which is where he becomes like the one Escanor, where he's like super tanky, insane damage, insane HP, which is why obviously we've got the fire damage increase, max HP, and decreased damage taken. And then obviously from High Noon up until the evening, until night, he slowly loses that power again and goes back into his little like bartender mode, which is why we've got Fading Sun, which is very interesting. I like that they've kind of simulated the whole character through his one passive, which is really cool. This is just his normal attack, 5-hit attack. Special attack is Q, which becomes immune to reaction, so he can't be it's a charge skill, and while he's charging, basically it decreases damage taken. He can't be like knocked up, stunned, or interrupted or anything, which is really nice. Immune to reactions basically means he's like you can't interrupt him while he's charging this, and he decreases damage taken, and then inflicts increased damage based on the charge, and it inflicts damage based on the remaining HP when attacking an enemy with Fire Burst activated. And obviously if we look at the symbols here, you will notice that these two here, these are main DPS. This means that he's not going to be, they're not designed to be like bursting. He hasn't got a burst spec. So it's likely that he needs someone else to trigger burst. And we're going to talk about that after we look at the rest of his kits. So we've got that. This is his normal skill, his E, which basically just does damage and applies to Sunspot stacks. So it's going to help you sort of get to your Flare much quicker. And then you've got his ultimate. First hit inflicts damage equal to attack. Does additional damage based on HP remaining when attacking someone with Fire Burst. It consumes all magic points, so your ult gauge, to increase the damage done. So it's kind of like Daisy's Earth spec. And then it continuously inflicts damage equal to attack to enemies within range. And if you do a combined attack, then max HP increases. And if you watched the live stream, then you probably know this already, but I'll tell you now, we actually got a sneak peek at this. Escanor's axe does indeed have a combined attack with Manny, which is amazing because it kind of means that Manny is just a given for his team, because not only is she going to be able to help us with the crit damage boost, and she's holy, so she's going to be contributing to that fire burst bar, but on top of that, she has a combined attack with Escanor, which means you're going to be able to get your max HP increase while also getting that sort of instant fire burst activation. So we'll talk about the team I've planned for Escanor pretty soon after this. Then we've got his Greatsword spec, which is interesting to me. I find this Greatsword spec pretty interesting because it seems like it is a very dot-focused kit. So what his Holy Greatsword spec is basically passive, increases allied heroes' damage over time. When attacking a burned enemy, damage increases for every burn stack, which is interesting because I want to know what the percentages are on this, because burn is the one debuff that can actually stack to 100 times, because it decreases defense by 0.15% per stack, up to 100 times, up to a maximum of 15% defense reduction. So this is interesting. Decreases damage taken from enemies affected by the hero's burn by 15%, which is insane because we'll talk about this in a second with the team, but depending on how you build your team, you could essentially give yourself a permanent uptime of 15% damage reduction, which is pretty damn good. This is his normal attack, which just does damage and has a chance to inflict burn. So this is your first source of burn for this team. His Q does damage when attacking a burned enemy, inflicts 1 weaken for each burn stack on the target for a set duration, which increases dot damage taken. Now this is interesting as well. The damage might be pretty insane from this, I'm not gonna lie, because I don't know if we've got weaken in the game already, and I don't know if we know a percentage on this of how much damage, increased damage taken it does. But when attacking a burned enemy, it inflicts 1 weaken for each burn stack on the target. Burn stacks up to 100 times, which means that if you're able to get like upwards of like, I don't know, 50 stacks of burn on a target, and you manage to get like 50 weakens, your dot damage ticks are going to be insane with this build. Then normal skill, Cruel Sun, which I find, when I was going through the live stream, I found it interesting that Cruel Sun was on the Holy spec and not one of the Fire specs. But okay, inflicts damage equal to attack, then causes burn damage to occur more frequently for a set duration. So this is basically going to make those damage ticks happen even faster. And then obviously we've got his ultimate, inflicts damage, and when attacking a burned enemy, damage increases for every defense reduction stack from burn, which obviously this needs to be tested. We need to see how it works in game and how it reads in game with the ratios, but I find that interesting. The damage increases for every defense reduction stack from burn, which burn in itself is a defense reduction stack basically. But I find that interesting because is that in addition to the defense reduction, like you're reducing their defense and you're increasing your own damage based on how much you're reducing their defense, which means that you're just doing that much more damage. And as you can see underneath there, burn inflicts fire damage equal to attack every second and decreases defense each time burn damage occurs, max 100 times. So it's up to 100 times stacks. And then obviously with this, you're making it tick more often. So instead of every second, it might happen, I don't know, every half a second or something. So that's pretty good. And then obviously we've got his support spec. Gains preheat stacks every second while a barrier is active, which increases his defense. And then obviously over there, we've got his overheat, which increases fire damage, but we'll see that in a second. Inflicts damage equal to defense, and while overheat is active, it's just more damage based on defense. His Q grants everyone fire barriers equal to defense, and then inflicts damage based on defense. Is basically a full defense focused kit, like sort of similar to Deanne with her gauntlets. I can't remember if her axe is based off defense, but I think her gauntlets are, and I know that her nunchucks might be. While overheat is active, inflicts damage equal to defense, removes some preheat stacks that increases all allied heroes' fire damage for a set duration. Over here you've got the taunt, which again does the same thing, but it decreases fire resistance as well when it removes the stacks. And then here you use your ultimate to apply overheat, and if you use it while you've got overheat, then it basically just does a bunch of damage and then removes it. But before we move on to the next bit, based on those kits, I kind of want to go over what my plan is for my Escanor team. And this is basically it. This, what you're looking at, if we imagine that Meliodas is Escanor, my team is going to look like this. It's going to have Escanor with either his fire or his greatsword spec, and that is what's really nice about this team. From my understanding of things as they stand, is that this team would work with both his fire and his holy greatsword spec, his axe spec and his greatsword. Why? Because Gila does the job for both specs. Her Rapier build is not only a burst focus spec where she's going to fill the burst gauge really quickly and activate it for Escanor's Fire Axe build to then come in and do a bunch of damage on the Fire Burst, but the way she activates Fire Burst is by applying burn and attacking someone with burn. So you've got a second source of burn from her for the Holy Greatsword spec as well. So now you've got Escanor's Holy Greatsword applying burn, and you've got Gila applying burn. And because she's a burst, then you don't have to worry about the fact that Escanor's Greatsword is a holy, so he can't trigger a burst or anything himself, because Gila is going to activate Fire Burst and Escanor's just going to contribute to that and stack on top of that while doing obviously all the burn damage, increasing the dot damage. It works even better as well because not only do we have the standard like Lightning Daisy, Manny, Holy for the crit support, but on top of that, which is standard, you're going to use that with both Holy Greatsword and the Fire Axe, but especially with the Holy Greatsword, Manny has her punishment debuff as well, which is more damage over time taken, and Escanor buffs allies dot damage. So that means that even Manny's punishment from her E, I think it is going to start doing more damage, which is pretty good. So I think that this team, like Escanor, Rapier, Gila, with Lightning Daisy and Holy Manny, is going to be like an insane team. Yeah, this could end up just being one of the best teams in the game in my honest opinion. And it's pretty good because obviously we've got Escanor's going to have a combined attack with Manny. I have to see if he's got anything with Daisy. It would be interesting. It's unlikely, but it might be interesting to see if he has anything with Daisy. But obviously Daisy isn't like Meliodas where we can activate Daisy's one to get the Lightning Burst and then switch to Meliodas to activate Darkness Burst. So obviously with Escanor we're only going to want to use his with Manny so that we could just insta-activate the Fire Burst every time. So the play would basically be to go into Manny, or no, probably go into Daisy, get your crit buffs and your plants down, go into Manny, use her E, use her Q, and then if you have the ult gauge, just basically combined attack with Escanor to activate the burst and swap into Escanor. And if you don't have the ult gauge for it, then just swap into Gila, put up your burns, activate the Fire Burst, and then go into Escanor, which is probably what I'm going to do. But if we go back to what's next, engraved equipment. So obviously we spoke about this in our video for prepping for Escanor. Revived Nightmare set he has for the Holy Greatsword, but it seems like he doesn't have a engraving with the Star Guardian set. So my bad for telling people that the safest bet was Star Guardian, because it seems I was wrong. In fact, he is going to be using, his Fire Axe is going to be using the new set that comes with the new boss challenge, which is Gallant. So essentially, everyone is going to be farming this, like day one, first days. We're going to be farming for this Twisted Wish set, which is going to give us the passive Noonday Sun, increases the duration of Flare. Flare is the one that he gets at like high noon, basically, when you reach your max stacks of Sunspot. Then he gets his increased fire damage, increased HP, reduced damage taken. So that's what Flare is. So it increases the duration of that, which is really nice. And attacking an enemy while Sunspot is active has a chance to grant an additional Sunspot, which basically just helps you stack your Sunspot faster, get to Flare even quicker. And then obviously using the Q increases max HP for a set duration, which is really nice, which is pretty strong. Because if you remember his Q is the one that charges, and during which you take less damage and you can't be interrupted or anything. And then it does damage not only based on charge level, but also based on how much remaining HP you have when you release the skill, basically. And that's when you're using against someone Fire Burst activated. So if using the special attack increases your max HP, it means you'll have that much more remaining HP once you've charged the skill, so it's that much more damage. So that's going to be pretty strong. And then his Holy One, each hit on a burned enemy inflicts additional stacks of defense reduction from burn. Inflicts additional stacks of defense reduction from burn. So I guess, is that basically just making it so that you can stack burn faster? And then attacking a burned enemy increases holy damage. So basically you wouldn't get your burns up from Gila, switch into Escanor, get your burns, and your normal attacks have a chance to increase burn as well. And then every time you have the burn up on the enemy, then your holy damage, basically your normal attacks and everything else, is increasing as well. So everyone is excited to use the Fire Axe, obviously, but don't sleep on the Greatsword, because I think that the Greatsword might actually be really, really good. So we're going to have to test out both of these. And the nice thing is, obviously we have Revived Nightmare, we're going to have to farm for this. We'll probably be able to make both of these day one, which is my plan at the moment. Obviously, we have the exclusive skin. So the golden skin that I thought would be the Star Guardian engraved equipment is actually going to be his exclusive skin of the banner, along with the axe. And then we have all the other usual materials on the banner. We will probably try and summon for at least the axe. Act 13 of the story. So obviously, if you've finished the game, if you've finished everything up to Act 12, you've done up to Corrupted Dragon where Meliodas comes in, then here we are. Act 13 is coming. We're going to be jumping into a new zone. We've got Meliodas joining us now in part of the with the story. So it's Meliodas traveling with Tristan and Hawk. And then obviously Galland is making his appearance. Here's just a little sneak peek at the new area that we're looking at, which is obviously this is My Sweet Gluttony, the new zone that we're going to enter from the Twisted Forest or whatever, you know, the little dark forest next to Vanya. We're going to be going from the south of there into this zone, which is going to take us to My Sweet Gluttony, which everyone knows is Escanor's tavern. You can see Escanor there with his axe in the background. And here we are, my new region, My Sweet Gluttony, southern grasslands of Vanya Plains. You can see we've got some new materials, gathering materials, cooking ingredients. So there's going to be new dishes to make, obviously. Mineral, sunstone ore. I've seen this a bit on the live stream. I'm curious to see what sunstone ore makes. Is that going to be like, because we've already got gems and everything for fire damage and holy damage and stuff. So I'm curious what sunstone ore is for. And then obviously we've got the new sunlight flower as well. So interesting to see what those might be for. New boss challenge. Obviously we spoke about this in the potential leaks. New boss challenge, Gallant of Truth, coming out straight away with Nightmare Hell and Abyss mode. And if you look at the weakness elements, we spoke about this before, I think, but we finally have content in the game that requires, or doesn't necessarily require, but makes use of your wind units. If you are someone who's using the wind team, if you have Daisy and you're using like Elaine, Daisy, Tristan, Hauser or something, the wind team finally has a reason to exist, and that is going to be the Gallant boss challenge. So obviously fire and wind. He's got this commandment of truth, periodically applies a commandment, violating the commandment inflicts petrification, violating the commandment decreases max HP, and complying with it increases your max HP. Now, we kind of got a sneak peek of this in the little teaser that they did where they tested out the Abyss mode of this boss, but it wasn't very obvious what the commandment is. It's kind of like, it appears as a debuff sort of, I think, or a little challenge sort of thing at the top, but it doesn't, I can't remember if they ever showed you what you kind of have to do to comply or violate, so that's interesting. We need to figure out what that is. We've also got this Gallant game, which is based off, if you know from the series, when Gallant and Escanor meet for the first time, they kind of have that little challenge where Gallant says like, okay, if you can take a hit from me, then I'll let you like hit me, and if I can take a hit from you, we'll just keep going until one of us dies. And Gallant basically does one hit to Escanor and it kind of barely does anything to him, and then Gallant just gets destroyed by Escanor's first hit. So that's what this Gallant game is based off of. Applies commandment to all targets and becomes the Gallant game attacker, then performs a powerful attack. The target hit by the powerful attack becomes the next Gallant game attacker, greatly reducing damage taken and greatly increasing damage dealt. So that would be an interesting mechanic to kind of play around. Is there a way to like sustain how long you hold the Gallant game attacker, or is it just gonna keep going back and forth? So every now and then, like, Gallant does more hits, every other attack or something, Gallant is stronger, and then you're stronger, kind of swapping around. So that might be interesting. It's an interesting mechanic. We also, if you watch the live stream, got a sneak peek at the fact that Gallant has 2 phases, and in phase 2 he goes into his critical over mode where he gets like all the spikes and everything coming out of his armor and stuff. So that'll be interesting. Defeat Gallant of Truth to obtain the Evil Eye of Madness. Obviously we spoke about this in our last video, people wondering, well, what's the material for the Gluttonous Soul Axe? And we all expect it to be Spider. We expect it to be getting Spider Abyss mode, using Spider materials for the axe. Obviously we were wrong. Escanor isn't for the Spider boss per se, he's for Gallant, which is also a fire weakness boss, and his Gluttonous Soul Axe is using materials from Gallant. So if you have everything else crafted, well, obviously you're just going to need to spend a couple of days farming a bunch of this Gallant of Truth, Evil Eye of Madness material from the Gallant boss to craft his axe, which is going to give us each max HP boost received increases fire damage. And obviously from Escanor's kit, we're getting a bunch of HP boosts with his Sunspot and Flare and stuff. Two new Abyss modes updated. Frozen Mines is the one that kind of really surprised me, but I guess everyone's been farming Gila and Spider, and Frozen Mines kind of just completely ignored. There was no reason to play it. So I guess this is their way of making Frozen Mines relevant content again, which is a smart idea. On top of that, you can see that these are the two dungeons where you kind of have to get the new pieces of gear to craft Escanor's Fire Axe engraving, as well as a bunch of new engravings that we'll talk about very soon. The Life Crystal set for the Earth set, basically, you can get the jewelry from Frozen Mines. So that, if anyone wants to get it, the 2-piece says plus 100 Earth attack. It's actually 100 Pierce. The Corrupted Watches ring, which is the Corrupted Watches set of jewelry, which the 2-piece I think is like, it says defense shatter plus 5%. I don't think it's actually defense shatter, but I can't remember what it was. We've got this Eye of the Ominous Star top, which will be like a random standalone piece that looks like Galen's set. And we've got this new Cursed Pulse new accessory set, which we go here is the full set you can get from Galland. The 2-piece set is an HP increase, which when it falls below a certain threshold, you get a barrier. 3-piece is Darkness Resistance. So this may or may not be the best set for Escanor. It depends whether the HP increase matters more than the crit chance we get from the Spider set. This is very interesting. New content, Time-Space Junction. This is going to be basically 7DS Origins version of kind of like the, I guess, Spiral Abyss, I think it was called in Genshin Impact. I can't remember what it was called in Wuthering Waves or Honkai or anything, but this is kind of our endgame boss content where you basically go through the different sectors, do the fights, try and get as many stars as you can, collect the rewards. They've said they're going to release 2 sectors every 3 weeks at the moment, and then obviously once all 7 sectors, they said 7 sectors, we only see 6, so I'm guessing there's one more hidden like final sector after this, and then once you complete all of them, then every so often is going to reset on a seasonal rotation. So this will be like our endgame seasonal rotation content that you do for endgame rewards, and I expect, they asked this question, they didn't give an answer in the live stream, but I expect that those rewards will obviously reset every season. New engraved equipment. This is using the gear from the new Galland boss and Frozen Mines Abyss mode, which is the new Twisted Wish set. So we're going to have new set for Meliodas, a new set for Daisy, Draydrin for some reason, okay, Slater, Gila, Tiora, and Tristan. Now obviously I haven't crafted sets for like these 4 units, so I don't know. I haven't crafted one for Gila, but I do know that the only weapon that doesn't have its own specific engraving so far for Gila is her rapier. So this Crimson Flames Trail will be for the rapier build, which is really good because obviously she's going to be on our Escanor team, which means that now we have an engraving for that as well, which is really nice. Most Malevolent Majesty for Meliodas. Now this will be interesting because his second engraving, the Revived Nightmare one, I believe is for his axe build. The first one you can kind of make work for both the dual swords and the long sword. But so it's interesting. I wonder which one this one is for. I think this might actually be for dual swords. I think that the one that we've got, the new adventure one with the white long coat, I think that is for his long sword. And I think this one will be the official one for the dual swords build. But let's see. It might have some effect to do with the demonic power thing. And then Spring Robe for Daisy, which this will probably be for her for her wind spec, because the 2 engravings we've got for Daisy are for her lightning spec and earth spec, so this will be for her wind spec, which makes sense because now there's a reason to actually use the wind spec because Galland does use a wind team. You can use a wind team against Galland as well. We've got 6 new pets added. There's a couple of hidden ones. I don't know what this is. They speculated that it's Hawk in the live stream. It could be Hawk. The leg doesn't look like it, but the snout over here kind of does, so I don't know. It could be like a new form of Hawk. This looks like it might be some kind of giant bird or horse or dragon. This is very obviously a camel. This is very interesting. We saw a sneak peek of this in the live stream, but they have a mobile mining machine, which is a mount that can mine. And you can basically go and stand next to a node and it does a bit of damage and it breaks the node completely in one hit, basically. And if you stand, for example, near some of the platinum nodes, because they're grouped together, you can stand in between them and basically break like more than one of them at the same time. Now, they did actually show it, but I expect that if if this is designed for mining, then you're probably able to pick up your mining pieces while you're mounted as well, which should be obvious. I guess you should, because you can kind of gather while you're mounted as well. So obviously we've got a mount specifically for mining now, so we're going to really work hard to try and craft this, as well as 2 new free pets, the riding pet, Proud Mustache Hawk, and Wise Big Hoot, the owl flying pet. Both of them are going to be completely free. And if you watch the live stream, you know that the riding pet, Proud Mustache Hawk, which is basically Escanor Hawk, is really cool because it does like a fireball attack that has Hawk's face on it. And it goes really slowly and does a bunch of damage to who it passes through. So it's like Hawk doing Cruel Sun. We've got Workbench level 6 expansion. So obviously this is what we need to make the newest tier of special HP recovery potion. Aqua Crystal, which looks like a high tier fishing bait. You've got Sunstone, the Sunstone Alloy. Again, we still have no idea what those might be used for, because we already have Ruby for fire damage, and I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Diamond for Holy. But we can craft the mining mount with the new level. And Remnants of the Rift. This is huge. We can craft Remnants of the Rift, which if you don't know already, this is what you can use to kind of reforge the engraving bonuses on your engraved equipment. So the fact that we can craft this now is very interesting. That's good, because it's going to be much easier to basically reforge your engraved equipment rather than having to make the whole piece of equipment like multiple times. New crafting blueprints, which is insane. This to me was such a massive change. You can now use the boss materials to directly craft these pieces, so you do not have to spend forever trying to farm for that one piece, not getting it, but maybe not getting it at the highest item level. Now you can just craft them directly. So that's huge. I've got so much of this spider material, and the fact that Escanor doesn't use a spider material means I really don't have anything to use the spider materials on at the moment. So the fact that I can craft Revived Nightmare with this, Revived Nightmare with the Dragon Sack, it is going to be so easy to just, anyone that has these in reserve, you can just craft Escanor's Holy Greatsword engraved equipment with these pieces day one, very easy. Quality of life updates, we've got the first one, which is a nice one. Start tracking, complete your gathering and mining, and it tracks the next one. So instead of having to, like, when you say you're tracking your gold, if you find an ore, it puts it on the map for you, you go there, you mine it. Then normally right now what we have to do is you have to go back into your bag, click on the gold ore again, click on gather again to show the next node. Now once you clear that node, it's going to instantly show you where the next node is, and it'll keep doing that until you've mined all of them. So that is really nice, especially for, I have like all the gold and platinum marked on my map, but for things I don't have marked, like some of the flowers or some other plants and stuff, that's going to be really useful. Preview engraved equipment info, which is nice because for a long time we didn't know what the actual bonus effects were on some of these engraved equipment. So now we can see what they are right before you craft them. So you know straight away whether you're crafting the one you want or not, which is nice. This one was very interesting. Defeat elite and boss monsters in the field for a chance to obtain their materials without using cube keys. And I don't know if they're showing Big Moss and Red Demon because they're the only two, or just because those are the two that they chose. But basically what they're showing is now the main material. So you won't get all the other stuff. You won't get like your heroes tokens and your mastery fragments and all of that. But their main boss material, you can actually now get as a drop from clearing these bosses and elites without using keys. Now, obviously, it probably won't be guaranteed. It's definitely not guaranteed. It says for a chance to obtain them, so they might have some ridiculous drop rates. But there is a chance now to just keep repeatedly farming these to get these materials without having to use your keys, which is really nice. Defeat elites and boss monsters in Abyss difficulty dungeons for a chance to obtain Remnants of the Rift crafting materials. Guaranteed when using cube keys. So you can defeat elite and boss monsters in Abyss difficulty. Interesting. So if you go into the dungeon in Abyss difficulty and you do the like mini bosses and the main boss without using cube keys, there is a chance to get this Transcendence Essence to craft your Remnants of the Rift. But if you use your keys, then it's guaranteed. So that's interesting. Obviously, we have the new check-in event, which is basically going to give us a bunch of materials. There's 2 large cube key bundles on 3 of the days, so that's 300 keys there basically, because one large bundle is 50 keys. We're getting 2 on each of those days, so there's 300 keys across those in 12 days. You're getting 5 rate up summons, 5 standard banner summons. You've got the 2 pets, 500k gold, 2 Radiant Potions of Charms, which is nice. They're giving us more of these now completely free to play, which is really good. Don't rush to use these straight away. When you get these, some of you might want to just quickly go and grab the Phoenix or the Squirrel. I would hold off for now once you get these. I know it's like on the 10th day, so there's some time before that, but there's a chance that there's probably new pets and mounts coming in the new zone with the new update that you probably want to save these for, so I would say hold off for now. And then you obviously get a bunch of other resources, your premium fragment selections, mastery XP, ingot selection chest and stuff. What else did we have? We had the new Escanor trial event. So obviously this is the new Escanor trial event. Obviously you get 300 fragments from here, you get some mastery XP and some materials that you're going to need for the Escanor mastery trees, which is nice. You get 4 of these vivid wild tokens. Now I've been tracking what I need for my Escanor mastery trees, and I'm actually at 5 out of 8 of these blue vivid wild tokens, because I believe these are the blue ones. I'm at 5 out of 8, and doing these gives you 4. So I will probably not need to farm the bear again now, because I can just get the remaining 3 that I'm missing from this trial event. So that's nice. There's a new mission event. Explore new regions and complete various missions to earn rewards. And it's going to give us the new tavern owner skin. It's going to give us a new engraving seal, some star fragments, small cube key bundles. So those ones are basically 5 keys, but I'm guessing there'll be a bunch of them. SSR limit break stones, the gold heroes tokens, and regular standard banner summons. And then this was everything at the end, guys. Obviously we've got a bunch of rewards. So after the update, we're getting 3 cube key bundles. The cube key bundles are the 20 key ones, so we're getting 60 keys there. We're getting 500,000 gold and 5 pickup summons. And these are like, this is different from the login event, so this is an extra 5 pickup banner summons. And then if you didn't watch the live stream or you haven't claimed these already, use those coupon codes. Special enhancement stones times 30, so that's like the highest tier of weapon enhancement stones. And then you've got elite trophies chance bundle times 5, so that's basically 5 of the chance blue materials from these elites. So you want to get that and then just use those straight away to see if it reduces how much you need to farm with your keys for materials for Escanor. And then obviously update support rewards, we are getting a full multi's worth of star fragments after the update as well, which is really nice. And that was it, guys. That is everything from the update. So like I said, we've covered everything. You now know Escanor's kit, so now you can really kind of dive back into the game and really focus on what team you want to build. Like I said, this is going to be the team I'm going to focus on, which is going to be Rapier, Gila, Daisy, Manny, and Escanor. I'm gonna max out Escanor as much as we can on day 1. We're going to try and work on our Gila. I've got a lot to do on Gila because I haven't touched my Gila at all. Obviously I have to do all her masteries. What are my potentials at? I've got 1 dupe on her, so we can get our Gila up to 510 once I do her masteries for now. What does it do on her Rapier form? Increases the range of her normal skill while in demon form. Landing the normal skill on a burned enemy decreases the normal skill cooldown by 2 seconds for every burn stack, which is pretty nice. Because that will basically just... What does her E do? Her E is the one that inflicts burn. That's her normal skill. So yeah, basically we'll just be able to keep cycling that and keep applying more and more burn, which will be really good for his holy spec as well, his holy greatsword spec. So that is our plan, guys. Let me know what you guys think about what's coming up in the update. In case you don't know, we're just going to quickly point out as well, the update, which was originally, according to the live stream, meant to come out on the Wednesday, which is tomorrow, has now been pushed 1 day to Thursday. So it's now coming on Thursday. So yeah, what do you think about that? They kind of pushed the update back a day. But oh well, I guess it gives you an extra day to farm and get ready for it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this update, about Escanor, about everything that they revealed in the live stream. Drop a comment down below, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe the video as usual, guys. Thanks for watching. I've been Wolf, and we'll be back very soon with Escanor. Peace.